There are losses, there are failures, there are successes, there are hits, there are movies that don't do as well as expected. But for me, writing started when I started reading a lot more. I think at that point I felt that it was too depressing. Only take away the positives from every experience.
Hello and welcome to The Hindu. This is Srinivasa Ramanujam, and today we are joined with a very familiar face. If you watched films like Kanguva, Thalaikudal or Tenmerku Parvakatru, you might have noticed Vasundhara in this. But today we are not here with her in the capacity of an actress, but she is here in the capacity as an author. Let's see what she has to say. Hi Vasu.
Hi, it's very nice to meet you. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, thank you. All good. How are you? How have you been?
There's this weird mixture of excitement and nervousness, which is kind of confusing but also nice. It's a very nice feeling. I've been good. I've been very happy. Yeah.
Vasu, we've been seeing you on the big screen since I think 2006. I think Vattaram was your first film. Of course, you've come through a journey since then. I know that you're also active as a painter. How did writing come into the picture?
I think writing for me was, I got into acting when I was in school. It was not like I decided that I wanted to. I was not already in college deciding what I want to do, none of that. But for me, writing started when I started reading a lot more. And I think the thing with my family is we are all voracious readers. We read a lot. And what happens mostly in my family is that we tend to give a lot of gifts and on birthdays, especially for the younger generation. The older generation doesn't really get much gifts, but the younger generation, they usually showered with gifts. And the gifts are usually books. Maybe they are toys, but they're more educational toys, like Boggle or like chess or something like that. But there's a lot of books. And when I was younger, my mom used to get toys for my younger sister. She was very young, too young to read. My older brother used to get more like educational toys. And for me, she used to buy me books. And I used to be a little irritated at the time. But then I think she knew that I was a lot like her. And I kind of really got into reading. And for me, when I started reading more of the mysteries, like Famous Five, Secret Seven, Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, all of that. I think I got really into it, and I started writing in this like pretty old computer when I was like 13, and I wrote a sci-fi novel. If I read it now, I'm probably going to hate it or laugh at it, but the dreams of a 13-year-old. So I started writing when I was 13, and for me it was always wanted to be an author or like a journalist or something in that capacity, but it didn't happen. And I think I finally gathered the courage to actually gathered my wits about me to overcome my procrastination and finish the book, and then gathered my courage to actually send it across.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your debut book, which I just finished reading, Vasu, it's called The Accused for people who don't know. And it travels two different stories. There are two different stories in the travel of the book.
Yeah.
So there's Inspector Rakesh, who's taken over in a station and who's looking for clues for a murder that has happened in his jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, there is also an actress and a superstar in the mix. What happens with them and how these two stories collide in some way is what the crux of the story is.
Yeah.
Where did the seed of Accused come to, Vasundhara?
I think it, so the original story for me happened, I started writing in 2016. And I had originally written it from the point of view of the murder victim's wife. For me, it was more along the lines of, we've always read newspapers. That's a very big habit in our house. We've always watched the newspapers. Everybody in our family either consumes Economic Times, Hindu, or there's always two papers at our door in the morning. But with the change and the 24-hour news cycle, people have to constantly give you news. And what happens when people are constantly exposed to this news is that a lot of regular folks with social media, they start coming to conclusions as to what happened. And they start posting about it. Instead of just thinking it in their heads, they start posting about it. And I feel like you say something often enough, it becomes the truth. You tell a lie enough times, it becomes the truth. And the idea of the accused came from there, because for me, it's like the character becomes, the whoever is the person who's suspected, or in this case not suspected, becomes the accused before any conclusion is obtained from the investigation. Before the investigation can even proceed, people have decided who the accused is. For me, that was the idea that I got. But I was watching something on TV and I was like, oh my God, something horrible has happened. And I opened the whatever social media and I just searched for the terms, and it was like so many people are talking about it as if they were there, and most of these people weren't even in the country. So for me, it was like, how do they know? Why are they saying that they know? And it just, for me, that was like, wait a minute, what if nobody's actually right and this person is being, whatever, accused or verbally abused or whatever? They imagine how they'll feel when they see all of this. So for me, the point of view came from there. But I think at that point I felt that it was too depressing. So I decided to change it to a little more fast-paced, a more fun, more of a, what do you say, consequences kind of a thing.
How different was the process? Because I'm pretty sure you've been in front of the camera, you've done many roles, Vasu, and all that. But writing requires, patience. It requires your devoted time and things like that. So how challenging was that process for you?
Oh, it was the hardest thing I have. It's almost as difficult as being on a diet. As a foodie, I cannot be on a diet. So it was for me as difficult as that, because I tend to procrastinate a lot. Or for me, I have this habit of, I will first ideate, and I'll ideate and write it in a notebook. I feel like, I know I'm a millennial, I know I'm supposed to be very comfortable with technology, but for me, I feel like unless I put it down on paper, I feel like it's not real, like it's not good enough. I don't feel connected to the story. So I started writing it in a diary. But for some reason in my head, after writing it in the diary, I was like, the book is finished. It's not finished. I have to still write it on a computer, make it like, I was just doing shorthand notes. For me, that was the hardest part, because for some reason I kept feeling like, but I finished that book. But I've not finished it. Yeah, so I think getting over that feeling, and I think having a family who reads a lot and especially read a lot of thrillers, and they're like, what happened next? Tell, right, what happened next? That constant, I think that worked very well. Of course, lots of Oreos and lots of coffee.
You mentioned author Ravi Subramaniam in the credits,
yes.
right? Could you tell me a little bit more about his role as a mentor towards this book?
See, for me, I actually, my family are bankers. I originally got his entire box set as a gift for my uncle, my mom, like various people. Like I said, we gift books a lot. And I got it signed from him because I wanted to gift it to my mom. And I do love John Grisham, and I like a lot of these financial thrillers, a lot of these lawyer kind of stories. I love them because I feel as if all the other commercial movies are just action, 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 and these are all, they use intellect to overcome difficulties. And for me, that is a different kind of heroism, like heroism, whatever. So when I met him and I told him that I went to his signing, I think it was in Odyssey or Cross, I don't remember where, some bookshop. I went, I think in Express Avenue somewhere, I don't remember. But I remember telling him that, that's when I met him, and I remember telling him that I want to be an author. And he's like, you should send me your book, let me read it. And we just exchanged numbers. And since then, he's been encouraging me. For me, I always felt like I'm an actor. And there's this belief that all actresses are kind of stupid. There's a lot of, I wouldn't say it's there anymore, but when you still go on social media, there's still that bimbo comment that comes pretty often from a lot of people. So for me, I felt as if my book wasn't at that point. Like it was, I had to prove myself, and I had to, so I was trying to write it in literary fiction style, because I was like, no, I have to prove that I'm not, whatever you guys call. And I was like, people are going to get bored of this. So I feel like his encouragement and him being like, just get the work done and then you can decide. And his whole, if I was ever worried about facing rejection, he was like, no, that whole, it'll happen, but there are so many publishers, you can always find somebody else. And it actually worked out very well for me. But for me, that encouragement and that, telling me that, send me a book, I'll read it and tell you what I think. All of those things alone for me were encouraging enough. And honestly, if he hadn't been a mentor, I doubt I would have had the courage to send the book to, like, at this point, maybe in a few years I would have, but at that point I feel like his mentorship and his encouragement made me a lot more confident in sending my book across to people.
You mentioned Ravi. Who are your other inspirations, Vasu?
For me, I do tend to favor female authors, and I think that's expected. I wouldn't say inspirations, because I don't personally know them. But I am a very big fan of the authors that I grew up with, like Agatha Christie, for example. And I do love a lot of the more like Nordic noir authors. A lot of them are brilliant. I don't want to mispronounce their names, so I don't want to say that. But I'll give you the name of the author for the books. For example, The Chestnut Man, that was beautifully written, and there's a whole Reykjavik series that is very nicely done. And I'm very, very big fan of Lucy Foley. I'm just reading her Midnight Feast book right now, and I'm like obsessed. I tend to prefer a lot of psychological thriller authors. I know that I've not written a psychological thriller, but I tend to prefer a lot of psychological thriller authors because I feel like having a lot of friends who are psychologists for me that like I end up, thinking of everything they've told me about it and I'm like, oh my God, that's so interesting. So I do have a lot of those people as like, not inspiration, more like aspirational for me that I want to be as good as them. But yeah, that would be mainly thriller authors if you think about it.
Vasu, let me take you back to 2006. I remember taking a trip down ECR. I went to a place I think near VGP Golden Beach where I met Saran and Kirat on the sets of Vattaram, which happens to be your first film.
Yeah.
What are your memories from that phase?
For me, I think that was a rather inaccurate representation of how the film industry is for me because it was such a wonderful and safe and friendly and comfortable set for me because I was in my 12th. I just finished my 12th when I signed the movie. I signed the movie and then I finished my 12th and I was shooting. They treated me like I was the kid that had to be protected, which I was. I was the youngest on the set and they treated me and protected me so well. And I kind of fell in love with the film industry because of that. And I think that was a very inaccurate representation because for me, they were more like friends and family. And when you come out of your first set, you realize how different the actual film industry is. But I cannot think of anything negative, except that I discovered that I actually can't dance. Except for that one bit, I think I've only got like nothing but happy memories about that film. That's I think one of the only projects where I have not even a single negative memory. Like I didn't even fall and trip and get hurt or anything like that. It was just the most wonderful set. And Sharan sir, he's just one of the nicest people I've. Like he'll always make sure that no matter what you're doing, you are absolutely comfortable. And I just, I wish he was doing a lot more work right now. I wish he was doing, I wish I'd gotten to work with him a lot more in the future. It would have been very nice to work with him.
Of course, your, notable projects happen to be, Peranmai, then make the Parva Katra and all that. In the last 15 years, so what have your biggest learnings been from the film industry?
Never show people how you feel about them. I know that's a very politically incorrect thing to say, but I feel like everybody is very good at being friendly with everyone, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. I think that is something that is very negative in the film industry because you don't know who is going to become a mentor. You don't know who's going to, a slide that you didn't even think was a slide. You could have just seen somebody said hi, and they'll be like, she didn't stand up and say hi. She just said hi from her seat. Even those weirdest things that never occur to you, those all turn into slides that they remember, but you don't remember. So I've learned to have this extreme formality with everybody. And that is not something that I'm a very friendly person. I think you get that vibe when I meet you. I treat everybody like a friend because that's the only way I get to work comfortably. And then, of course, there are these people who are exactly on your vibe. For example, Talikutal, the entire set was exactly on my vibe. I feel like every single person on that set is a friend now. Half of them, so many of them were there in my book launch. That movie, like another movie I just did with Lakshmi Narayan Raju, that's the movie that's coming out next. That one also, everybody's like the same vibe. Again, a lot of people from that set came to my launch. And there's a Telugu movie I just finished with director Sunil. Again, same vibe. So I feel as if it depends. The younger generation is a lot more casual. And especially those who are not from film backgrounds, they are a lot more casual. And it's just nice. But the thing that I've learned, again, is not to wear my heart on my sleeve and just, even if I'm not well, I still have to completely maintain a smiling face, completely, because I cannot tell that I'm not well. Like, this girl is angry, she's always arrogant. That is something that I have unfortunately learned.
You were also seen in Kangua, right? A film that didn't exactly do well at the box office.
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately. So, when something like that happens, Vasu, when you obviously are looking at that project as a stepping stone to your next step in your career and wherever you want to go and all that, and when the film tanks or doesn't do well because of various reasons which are obviously not in your control at all,
not in our control.
How do you process that?
See, for me, I did expect a lot from the project. I didn't want to sign anything else till that came out. because I was working with somebody that I am a very big fan of. I am a huge fan of director Shiva, and I'm sure you've met him. And once you meet him, even if you're not a fan beforehand, after meeting him, you tend to think that no matter, you tend to, like, with your whole heart, wish him well because he's such a good person. I think that for me, that was a bit of a disappointment because I understood Sir's vision, and I feel like not a lot of people did like it, but a lot of people did not. And I feel like maybe they didn't get it. And yes, people are allowed to have that taste. You cannot really tell them that they can't, dislike a film that you like. But for me, I feel as if there are losses, there are failures, there are successes, there are, hits, there are movies that don't do as well as expected. But for me, I feel like I had a lot of learning from this project, and I have kind of, I think, after reaching the age of 30, I feel as if I've decided to only take away the positives from every experience, and except for the result, every experience in this project, again, like Vattaram, was a positive. And I think that is true of like any of Shiva's sets. Like the vibe itself is very positive, and I have told him multiple times, I'm like, sir, I don't care what role it is, just call me for your next project. And I tend to learn. I learned a lot from him, and I hope that makes me a better actor, and I do hope I get to work with him again, and I do hope that more different films are accepted widely.
Vasu, are you frustrated a little bit that despite knowing Tamil so well, you're a Tamil girl, you know Tamil quite well.
Yeah.
And despite that, opportunities that come your way are far few in between in that sense.
Yes.
It could be more is what I'm
Yes.
trying to say. Does this aspect frustrate you a little bit?
A lot. It makes me, it rather than frustrates me, it disappoints me because for me, I felt like, as a Tamil girl, I thought the Tamil industry would be very welcoming. And unfortunately, that's not been the case, not just for me, for many other Tamil girls who try to make it. A lot of Tamil girls have left the Tamil industry and become successful. I'm not sure why that is. I feel like we are racist against our own people. I don't know why. I'm not sure why, because we tend to have a lot of pride in our language. I wish we had a lot of pride in our people as well. And I know that a lot of it is also luck. A lot of it also depends on the opportunities that come your way, being at the right place at the right time, and also learning how to make contacts and learning how to mingle with people also makes a very big difference, which is not something I'm very good at. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not the kind of person who will go to every event that I'm called to. I would be like, I'd rather stay at home and chill and watch a movie. I think a lot of mistakes were also on my side. I feel like I should have mingled more. I should have made a lot more friends. I should have attempted to find a mentor. I should have maybe taken more dance classes, something. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And while I am very frustrated, I feel as if being in the industry has taught me a lot that I would not have gotten anywhere else. And I am, in my opinion, I am a hardworking actor, and no matter what, I still love my job. So that aspect of it makes me happy.
Are you working on this aspect, Vasundhara, the things that you just said that you could have done? Are you working on that in future?
Not the dancing. I have given up hope in that area because I have tried going to dance classes, and dance masters have literally seen me and said, Ayo Vasu, Nia. So I have kind of given up that dance aspect. But I am working on being better at mingling with people. And now that there are a lot of the younger generation is coming, when I say younger generation, I don't mean like teenagers. I mean like people our age. But they've gone to film school, they've gone abroad, they've decided, they've earned their money, they've decided they're going to follow their ambitions, and they've come into the industry with a completely different worldview. And for me, it's very easy to mingle with these people because they are so used to having female friends from a variety of backgrounds that for them it's a very comfortable thing to talk to a woman and treat her like any other person. And for me, that makes me very comfortable in being friends with them, because I can completely be myself and not have to think that, okay, I have to behave like this with this person, and that with that. I cannot change myself with each person different. I'm not good at that. So for me, I am actually able to work on that now, not just because I want to, but also because the people I've had the luck of working with are just absolutely fantastic. And there are a lot more women in the industry now who are succeeding, and that makes me not unreasonably, but it feels like unreasonably happy. And I am really, really trying hard to like make a lot of female friends in the industry. Even if you don't work together, just having friends in your field of work, it's just a lovely, lovely thing. Yeah.
So what are your upcoming films? Because you did mention a couple of films.
I am not allowed to mention that. I think we had this conversation. I am doing a few projects. I've done a couple of guest appearances in friends' projects. I kind of did that when I was editing the book because I didn't have time for shooting. So I decided to go ahead and do a couple of guest appearances, which is just a few days here and there. And these are also people that I've always wanted to work with, and I didn't want to miss an opportunity to work with them just because I didn't have the time. So I went ahead and did a couple of guest appearances, and I'm currently doing, there's a movie called Kali, like Kali Yugam Kali. That is done with Aishwarya Rajesh, Lakshmi Narayan Raju, like I said, Pixel Productions, and also Vasundhara, who is I think he's done a cop role in this project, and I've done a very I'm having a very glamorous appearance, which is very different from what you've seen me so far, and I'm very excited about this because it's shades of grey. And I think I've given multiple interviews where I've been desperately telling people to give me villain roles because I feel as if I don't have to dance when I do villain roles. So I've been desperate for that. And I've done a Telugu movie. The title has not been finalized yet, but it's with the actor Priyadarshi, and I'm again playing a shade with grey, playing a role with grey shades. And that has been directed by director Sunil, who's been in the industry for a very long time as a creative producer, has like a lot of things behind the scenes. But this is his debut as a director, and I feel like all of his knowledge from all these years is kind of coming together to make it really nice. And this movie was actually the best reintroduction I could have into the Telugu industry because I've had such a great team and great actors. Like working with Priyadarshi was an absolute pleasure because he kind of vibes very well. Like we both constant banter. So for me, that was a lot of fun. And same with Sunil, there was a lot of banter. So it was a lot of fun for me. And I'm doing another OTT series. Again, I'm not allowed to mention the details. And I'm doing a very sporty role, which is the Telugu movie, and the sporty role is the hair. So you will see the hair prominently. You'll see it otherwise also, but I'm wearing a wig in my other projects. So yeah.
What about your future as an author? Because
I am writing my next book.
what can you tell us about it? Is it an extension of the Accused universe, or it has nothing to do with the Accused?
Okay. I tend to get distracted easily. So I started writing the extension of the Accused universe, but then last week I got an idea and I started writing something else. So I'm sure that there's an extension because you've read the story. You know that the ending is a bit open, and there's still threads to be tied up, ends to be tied up. I am working on that. I want a plot point. I want, not rather than a plot point, I want an ending that is very satisfying. I want to feel like I've had full meals after reading that book, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of trying to figure out how to do that. I've got my plot for the entire half, but the second half is what I'm working on. In the meantime, I'm working on a couple of other stories. We will see which one my mother whacks me into finishing first. Yeah.
Vasu, I spoke with you 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And when we spoke, I asked you about your retirement plans, and you said that you wanted to wake up to mountains and greenery and not your phone alarm. Does that wish still exist?
Yes. Oh, wow. Okay, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing that I've not at all grown as a person in 10 years, or I was already mature at that point. Like I already knew what I wanted at that point, and that has not changed. My dream is to buy like a little garden farm kind of thing on the hillside, wake up to the view of the mountains, have like my plants, my vegetables, like my fruits. I want to have animals. I would love to have I don't know, cows. I would love to have, I know rabbits are very hard to maintain, but they're so adorable. And I know that technically they're not of any use. I'm a vegetarian, I don't use any, I'm vegan, I don't use leather, a lot of stuff. Not vegan, but I don't use leather, none of that stuff. But I feel like I just want the animals for the mental health aspect of it, the like whole fulfillment of it. And I do want to not wake up to my phone alarm. I wouldn't mind waking up to a rooster. I don't want to wake up to my phone alarm, especially I have an iPhone. Do you know how loud the alarm is? It is shocking. So no, I do not want to wake up to my phone alarm. I would love to wake up to the view of the mountains. And I did spend a lot of time in Ooty when I was young. So for me, I want to wake up in the morning, put in my sweater because it's going to be cold. I want to get a hot cup of coffee because I'm not going to drink chai. Never. Hot cup of coffee. I want to take a worky in the morning. Forget breakfast, forget eggs, forget any of that. Forget like your kanji and all, even though I had kanji this morning for breakfast. I want to take a worky and I want to dip it in my coffee. I want to sit in my little balcony, look at the mountains, read the newspaper, not the app, the newspaper. And I want to have like a slow, chill morning. That's like the dream.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.